So before getting into the present restructuring in 2020, let us understand what is the history of restructuring. I would say history of restructuring started ever since term lending started. Right from the moment earlier in IDBI, ICICI and IFCI were all financial lending institutions for greenfield projects. People were taking loan and then restructuring the loans. They used to call it rescheduling. They were only term loans. And then in 2013, bankers started feeling this stress very lightly, and debt recovery tribunal was started. First serious restructuring happened in 2021 when corporate debt restructuring was done. So subsequently, SARFAESI Act came where they could attach the properties. And then, for the whole of roughly around 50 years of post-independence existence, there were only 4 major developments till 2014. From 2014, there is a slew of actions taken for restructuring. It is because, Raghuram Rajan famously said, NPA by any name smells as bad. And then the NPA problem started ballooning and all corrective actions had to be taken. So in 2014, corrective action plan was given and corporate debt restructuring became strategic debt restructuring in 2015. And then in 2016, scheme for sustainable structuring of stressed assets started. It is called S4A. Then in 2016, bankruptcy code was introduced. Then 2018, framework for restructuring was revised. And in 2018 and 19, continuously MSME loans were restructured. They were restructured post demonetization and then post GST because of the pains experienced by MSME. And then in 2019, prudential restructuring norms were introduced. Prudential restructuring norms started in June 2019 and they started restructuring bigger loans. The loans were 2,000 rupees and above, 2,000 crores and above. And effectively restructuring of loans from 1,500 crores to 2,000 crores started in 1st of March 2020. It was the appointed date before lockdown actually. And after that, less than 1,500 crores, this restructuring has not happened at all, and there was no window for that. Prudential restructuring norms are getting followed for that, and then COVID struck. After the COVID restructuring of 2020 has come, and this is virtually God sent for a MSME. That is, when I say MSME, I would say any loan with less than 150 crores in total. We can really look at restructuring and plan the company in such a way that things can perform very well going forward. But in the past also, MSME loans were restructured. Like I said, in 2018 and 19, 2-3 times MSME loans were restructured. But what has happened? What has happened is earlier the MSME definition was dilapidated. They were all very small, hardly companies worth anything were able to be restructured. Only the small loans were to be restructured. The present definition is fairly decent. The investment that you see in the screen is investment in plant and machinery. You're called micro if it is less than 1 crore, small if it is less than 1,000, 10 crores, and medium if it is less than 50 crores. Similarly, the turnover, both the caps have to be met simultaneously. 1 crore of investment and 5 crores of turnover, or 10 crores of investment and 50 crores of turnover, or 50 crores of investment and 250 crores of turnover. In this turnover, export incentive, export turnover is not included. So if you have an export oriented unit, virtually of any size can be considered small, medium, provided your plant and machinery investment is less than 50 crores. There is scope to revise up to rupees 500 crores. Quite recently, as about a week back, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said she will listen to the industry and change it accordingly. Okay. So before we get into the restructuring per se, let us look at the options available for financing. Even before the finance minister's announcements of various measures, RBI came out with a few measures. They gave an emergency credit line of up to around 10% of the working capital loans given to the companies with a very high cap. And then they reduced the CRR so that the money is available in the bank. And then temporary loans were given to avoid NPA. Finally, the reduction in margin. This is one major thing. The margin for working capital on stocks and debtors have been reduced to 10%, and it will continue to be so till 31st of March 2021. After that, it will get back to the old sanction limit of 40% or 25% or 60%, depending on what your sanction is. So all the clearance that has to happen before 31st of March. After that, the companies will find it very difficult to function due to lack of drawing power. And then the finance minister announced a few schemes. Out of the COVID loan, total outlay is rupees 300,000 crores. 20% of the total debt outstanding will be given, with a maximum interest rate of around 7.75%, and it is a good thing if you require loans. Companies with the loan up to 25 crores was eligible for this, and it was increased to 50 crores internally. This means up to rupees 10 crores of loan was available for asking, and it is a pre-sanctioned loan. It did not need any security, and CGTMSE cover was given by the government. This loan, even after 2 or 3 months, has not filled up. Day before yesterday, finance minister has said that this loan can be extended to other people also. Subsequently, professionals came into the net. How much of it is remaining, nobody knows, but I would guess at least 50% of this money is still lying with the government to be given to MSME. I tell all this because when you restructure, you have to think of all these things and then try to have a proper restructuring methodology. And then the subordinate debt. When you restructure, you are going to have a problem with the debt equity ratio. To help that, there is a subordinate debt scheme which is given to the promoters. The promoters' contribution in the business, 15% of it is given as loan subject to a maximum of 75 lakhs, and it is given with a 7-year moratorium and 1/3 each year from the 8th, 9th, and 10th year. The interest rate is as per the interest rate of whatever loan you have, plus credit guarantee cover, insurance premium of 1.5% on the loan outstanding has to be paid, but interest has to be serviced. This is one opportunity where you can take the money and then put it back into the business, not worry about payment for 7 years, and call it your own equity, and then pay off, and then raise more funds and then do the business properly. And then support for startup, it may not be directly helpful to many companies. you should have been invested by an alternate investment fund. That is, some venture capital should have taken equity from your firm, then only you are eligible. If you are, then up to 2 crore rupees of assistance was given. Let me just skip this and let me not go on for the details beyond that. And then this is an important scheme in restructuring, and all of you will have to pay attention. Total outlay of the project is 50,000 crores. 50,000 crores worth of money is earmarked by the government to be put as equity shares in the businesses of MSME, of companies that are less than 250 crores in turnover. So they have to seriously look at this option to clean up the balance sheet and then come out with a proper restructure. How does the fund operate? The fund is operated by SIDBI VCF, Venture Capital Fund of SIDBI. And SIDBI doesn't really distribute money directly. They distribute the money through the alternate investment funds, that is the SEBI registered funds that are in the business of equity investment, venture capital, private equity, etc. So the government will give 1 rupee, alternate investment fund will put 2 rupees, total 3 rupees is available for investment into the in MSME for equity support. So totally 1,50,000 crores worth of equity is available, and 1,50,000 crores worth of equity implies another 3 lakh to 4,50,000 of credit, including the existing credit. So there is a good way of restructuring provided you take it. So far 53 funds have taken registration under this. Those 53 funds list is available with SIDBI VCF website, sidbivcf.in. You can go have a look at it and you will be able to do it. And there is a process involved. Let me skip this. How the fund of fund takes the application and then disperses the money. Let's not really get there, but it is available. It is a professional's job, but it is available for asking. And if you have a compelling proposition, there is a good chance that you can raise money. This is all. In the first place, why has it happened? This is what we need to understand before we restructure properly. See, this is an ecosystem-driven illness. It is not about one company or one economic situation or one demonetization or GST introduction. It is ecosystem-driven. To give you an idea, in the early days when somebody started business, they had a good proposition and they want to invest money and they do not have money. So what they used to do, they used to jack up the investment, show the balance as their own share of capital, and then take the balance loan. Virtually the entire very small portion was equity and rest of it was debt. A scenario like that, servicing is going to be difficult, and that's what has happened. And subsequently, there are other owner equity was relatively less, and the NPA was banking system also did enormous amount of window testing every now and then, give a working capital term loan and then adjust it back into the loan itself without really giving the money to the entrepreneur. You would have received it. And there was a diversion of fund. Let me not get into willful default kind of a scenario where somebody buys a property or does something. There is a genuine diversion of fund. That is the crux of the problem. I'll come to it a little later in detail. And then the tax management becomes an issue. And then a taxman question has to be planned in the balance sheet itself. So suppose somebody has a net profit of 8%. Your CEO would have told some time back, this year we'll keep 8.5% or 7.5%. It doesn't matter what we earned. We may have lost 30% or we may have gained 50%. In either way, it will have to be an 8.5% balance sheet for the taxman to pass the assessment quickly. So this is the ecosystem in which we were operating. And suddenly the government decided to clean it up and introduced VDA, voluntary disclosure scheme of black money. It is not about black money, it is about lack of money also. So that is something the government did not really, give importance to. And then the demonetization, again cleansing of black money. And then GST. The black money oriented system and the cash oriented system suddenly found GST to be implemented. And then BSL norms and IBC. You take it to IBC and change of ownership. So with all these ways, old working is not possible. And that is another thing that promoters have to introspect. And in this scenario, COVID has struck, and I don't have to really elaborate on what are the problems that we are going to face. In this scenario, we have to really plan well and then have a proper restructuring. The RBI announcement is again I am telling you, God sent. It is better that it is used properly. So what was happening? There was a genuine diversion of fund. Let us say I have a 10 crore rupee cash credit account, and suddenly my machinery worth rupees 1 crore broke down and my production comes to a standstill. Do you think I can go to the banker and get a term loan for 1 crore rupee right tomorrow? It is just not feasible. So what I do? I stop the creditors and then use the working capital and buy the machinery, and then somehow I keep the things running. But then the end of the month comes and I have to give a statement to the bank stating that what is the stock, what is the debtor, what is the margin, and what is my loan. So I have no option but to increase the loan, increase the stock and debtors. Increasing the stock and debtors will not stop. At some point of time, I have to increase sales. Once I increase sales, I have to show more profit so that I can apply for more loan and then cover the whole system. So in the bargain, what happens is the balance sheet we are looking at and the balance sheet in which we are, with which we are taking a meaningful decision, they are compromised. So this is creating the problem, and unless we fix this, no amount of good restructuring is going to help us fully well. So RBI's present announcement is very good in many ways, and so the disease I have discussed with you. So what are the symptoms? The symptoms are 4, and internally every entrepreneur knows about it. Most of the bankers know about it. CAs know about it. That's why I say it is a systemic disease. It is not a disease of a single component of the economy. So if you have taken a COVID loan moratorium for all the 6 months till August 31, then there is a very high likelihood you are in stress. You may be a standard account, but you have a stress and you have to seriously look at it. And you know very well, if your actual stock, if you think it is less than the stock that is shown in the books, then you have stress. Same goes with the debtor. Reverse is creditor. Your actual creditor may be more what you have to pay outside. But what is shown in the books is less. So these are all the classic symptoms of restructuring. Not of restructuring, of the disease that once you have it, once you have it, you have to restructure and then make sure that this is not really happening in future for you. So restructuring is not a rocket science. It is a very simple thing. Okay, you have a profit after tax. Then you add back depreciation, add back interest. After doing that, Last year, there was an investment in stock, debtors and creditors. Current year, there is an investment. There is a difference. It is not going to be exactly same. So current year minus previous year, there is a difference. That difference is change in working capital. Similarly, you would want to buy machinery, like in or do some investments, or go for an expansion, or even, you know, on an existing plant, roughly 5% of the machine will come for replacement capital expenditure year after year after year. You cannot stop any of that. The change in capital expenditure, these are all the essential things that you require to run the business. So you cannot stop that. Once you do that, you have a resultant free cash flow to the firm. If you look at it, there are negatives and then positive. I have just given some numbers. I mean, they mean nothing. The point I'm trying to make it is, once you have a free cash flow, it is this free cash flow with which you will be able to service the receivables. You determine the free cash flows, and if it comes negative, or if it is less than the loan and interest repayment obligations for that particular current year, then we are in trouble. We have to find a way of repaying. Then the next classic way happens. We go to NBFC and take unsecured loan at 18% and then mess up the working further. So this goes on, and all these can be stopped now. So have a realistic cash flow estimate based on the current scenario, based on the downside with COVID, based on everything, every other parameter, your actual stock, actual receivables, and arrive at a free cash flow to the firm and tell the bank, this is the cash flow actually I am going to get over the period of 5 years. And it is through which I have to service the debt. Now let us say talk and then do the restructuring. This is the best method. This is the method I advocate. This is what I have done. Ascertain the cash flows properly. Have a proper net working capital. And then if you have an excess, then transfer that excess as a term loan. And based on your projection, ask for an actual requirement of cash. Okay. Actual requirement of working capital limit increase. And have a proper DP going forward so that this problem is not repeated henceforth. Your projection should be realistic. Like I said, our CMA generator in Taxcart, we have a set of if it is this COVID year, a minus 8% of your previous year turnover, previous year actual turnover, I would say, is what is reasonable. You take that, and based on that, you look at the working of the company, all the expenditure, and arrive at a profit before interest and after taxes. It may be loss, it doesn't matter. And then get the net working capital done. What is the stock actually you need to do that? What is the actual receivable that will be outstanding? What is it we have in books? We can, you tell that it is this excess has to be converted as a term loan, working capital term loan over a period of time. And then for the additional working, what is needed can be asked. So now the question will drop in somebody's mind, will the bankers agree to it? Well, if there is a compelling case, they will. If you have a proposition where you have a business working properly and you have a proper cash generating business, and if there is only a cash mismatch and the past things that are created over a period of time, what I talked about, then these things can be adjusted. And then you have a very, very clear, proper vision statement and have a good documentation done with all steps of the way, which will pass the scrutiny. Then everything that you need, should be available, because the banks are also having a lot of funds. There was another recent report which said 7.6 trillion rupees, that is 7,60,000 crores, is in reverse repo. That is, the banks are taking fixed deposits and CASA balances at an average of, let us say, 3%, 4%, and then giving it to RBI at a much lesser interest. And then making loss there because they don't have proper avenues of investing, or they don't have a proper method of proper companies in which they have to invest. So we become the proper company. That is the whole idea. Look, this is what I have. This is what I can do. This is what I can achieve. This is the difficulty I have. Let me overcome it and you help me. This is what your document should talk about threadbare. Once it does, there is a good way in which you will be able to restructure the loans. Okay, this cleaning up is very important. And then comes capitalization. This is not a free meal, okay? Restructuring mandated by RBI just provides the methodology with which it can be restructured. It does not tell the banker that you have to necessarily restructure all accounts. It is up to the bank. If the bank decides that, okay, let me take it as an NPA and then start taking the actions, so be it, then they will start that action. They may not start till 31st of March because they will be very busy restructuring the goods, but eventually they will start. So, first and foremost in the projections that you have to show is that your skin in the game is there with respect to collateral, with respect to money, with respect to the intention with which you will be able to make goods. Your own faith in the business. If you put more money in the business, then your faith increases. Otherwise, no. So that has to be displayed in some form. Okay. Like I said earlier, subordinate debt scheme can be resorted to. Fund of fund equity scheme can be resorted to. All of us have friends and relatives. We can ask them to chip in money and then collect some money and then put it, depending on the size of the company. And it has never been announced, it has never been thought through, but you know, if you give a proposition to the banker, they may agree. If you have a property, you can continue to enjoy the property and reverse mortgage the property, take the money upfront and put it in business. They will be more than happy to help you to put the business on track. More because of two things. One, they have money. Number two, they don't want NPA. So there is a good chance you will be able to restructure if you capitalize it properly. So you have the will to clean up. There is cleaning up is not very difficult, and you have to look at it. And you will be able to explain, you know, you can, so if the receivables was more and if you want to make it less, you can always say that, right? So due to COVID, you are unable to collect now. It may have been difficult last year, it may be difficult next year. In the current year, it is possible to restructure. Do not lose this window. For the companies with total debt component, including non-fund based limit, if you have a BG limit, LC limit, all those things are added, and the total, if it is less than 25 crores, then your account should be standard as on 1st of March 2020, or should have been standard as on the closing hours of 29th of February 2020. What is standard is all dues have been paid. You are not SMA 0 or 1 or 2 at the end of February 2019. SMA 0 is when you don't pay the money within 30 days. SMA 1 is when you don't pay the money within 60 days. SMA 2 is when you don't pay the money within 90 days. Beyond 90 days, you are a non-performing asset. This is the classification. So you have to be standard as on 1st of March 2020. Don't worry if you are not standard, I will come to it a little later. This means when it comes to working capital, you can be SMA 0. there is a rationale behind it. On 29th of February, they would have debited interest in your account. The interest is always growing. If I have a limit of 10 crores, my balance is always 9 crores, 90 lakhs, 99,000. So when they add an interest of about 10 lakh rupees, assuming 1% per month, which is high, but then I will cross the limit and I become a SME 0 automatically. But I am expected to clear it off within a week's time or whatever before the end of the month. So you can be SME 0 in case of working capital, and in case of term loans, you cannot be SME 0. So this is what you have to make an application for a restructure before 31st of December 2020, and it will have to be disposed of by the banks before 31st of March 2021. So by 2021 March, all accounts will be restructured. So the date of application is called invocation date or resolution plan invocation date or RP date. You will hear RP dates again and again as you go forward in future when you talk to your consultants and stuff like that. So in case of debt over 25 crores, also it is more or less the same. In both cases, prudential norm of June 2019 should be followed. It gives you a structure with which how to restructure and all those things. But the fundamental difference between less than 25 crores and over 25 crores is there is a relaxation with respect to over 25 crores because there was no restructuring done. When it comes to less than 25 crores, there has been a continuous window of restructuring. If you have a restructuring done in the past for a small amount, if the bank has done a working capital term loan and then taken the money from you, then you are not eligible for restructuring under this norm, that is 2020 August norms, but you are eligible under 2019 norms. I'll come to it in a moment. Restructuring of loans if you are current, and in case you are not, you are already an SMA 0 or 1 or 2. Now, one other difference is there. If you are less than 25 crores, it is sufficient if you are standard asset as on 1st of March 2020. After that, you could have become an NPA even as on date. Though it is not feasible. Read out the question. Okay, I'll attend to the question 1 minute. Yeah.
Is the TO a cap vis-a-vis the investment?
Huh?
Jayachandran GK asks, is the TO a cap vis-a-vis the investment?
TO? No, both are congruous. I mean, it is an and condition, not or. 50 crores or 250 crores. Okay. So let me go ahead with it. I'll be completing in next 10 minutes. Then we have a lot of time for discussion. Okay. I'm not going to take more than 10 or 15 minutes from this point of time. So let me go ahead and complete it. So when it is over 25 crores, it is not sufficient if you're current, and if you are a standard asset as on 1st of March 2020, you have to be a current and standard asset as on the date of RP invocation. That is the day on which you are giving the resolution plan to your banker. So if there is a stress going forward paying, it is better that at least the intention has to be cleared, and then tell the banker that you want to restructure. How to go about restructuring, you can always talk to your professional and they will be able to help you. Okay. So this is the structured process, and when you are not falling within that, I think that slide is missing. Prudential restructuring norms of June 2019 gets applicable. You can apply to any company that is SMA 0 or 1 or 2 or NPA of any date, so long as it is operational, so long as it is not taken the NCLT. If you continue to be the owner, but in that case, they may insist on a change of management sometimes, but sometimes for a smaller company, they will not. It is only for bigger companies. In the present restructuring of less than 1,500 crores and above 25 crores or less than 25 crores, as the case may be that you see in the screen, there is no need of a change in ownership. This is another reason. NCLT and IBC are not going to go away anywhere. Once COVID is over, once this year end is over, it is going to come back and somebody posts that, and resolution professional will come and start managing your company. Let's not really get there, and let us restructure now. Any company that has a loan of 1,500 crores and up, below can be restructured and discussed. So let's restrict our discussions to, let's say, 150, 200 crores and below kind of a scenario. There are a few conditions that I wanted to tell you. Okay. First, to recapitulate, less than 25 crores. There are a few set of conditions. Over 25 crores, there are a few set of conditions. If both, in these two cases, provisioning for the bank is not much. So the bank will be much more obliged to look at you if you are a standard asset. Okay. If you are an NPA or an SMA already they would have made provisioning, and then they would have done that also. Okay. Can I read out the question? Somebody has raised the hands. Yeah.
Nishita.
Yeah.
You ask them to unmute.
Yeah. You can.
Two other people.
You can unmute it, and then you can ask me the question. Yeah. Or with your consensus, do you postpone the discussion for 10 minutes? Then I'll open it out and we can talk and discuss. Is that okay? Somebody can chat and say yes. Instead of opening, it will be a good thing.
Raghunathan.
Yes, please. Yes, Mr. Raghunathan.
Hey, nothing particular. And I'll get back to you.
Okay, fine. Let me go ahead. Okay, so this is the difference between the two, and in case of June 19 prudential restructuring norms, we will have to really increase on the provision. So the bank will be a little concerned in doing it, but you can make it happen, because again, you have to demonstrate the skin in the game. You should be able to part away with money. You should be able to invest, or your past track record, and all those things will speak, and it is feasible. You have to have a good thing. That's all. So that's what, first clean up, and then have a plan for capitalization, have a good document for restructure, submit to the bank, and you should be able to do it. You should be able to do it very well. Okay. And you can ask for a few concessions. Okay. Depending on the projections and depending on your free cash flow to the firm, properly established, subject to scrutiny. If you have a good free cash flow projection which shows negative or insufficient positive number, you can ask for a few concessions.
What is prudential restructuring norms?
Okay, prudential restructuring norms, let me just, yes, it is telling that there are a few cases where you can do the restructuring and banks were allowed to do structured restructuring of loans as they deem fit financially, provided they make some 20% and 15%, roughly over a period of 1 year, 20 to 35% of the total loan outstanding has to be made as provision to by the bank. And so that's why the bankers are reluctant. They keep giving you some amount or pressurizing you, and you go to some other place to collect money and then pay the money. They have to make the provision under prudential restructuring norm. In the present August 2020, the fundamental difference is the provision amount is very, very less. Hardly anything, and the banks will be more than happy to look at it if you are a standard asset. Alternatively, we have to impress upon them to take it. That is the only difference. Rest of it is, what are the things that we can ask, and that's what covers in most cases. They are open to many things. They can restructure the existing term loans, extend the period of time. If it is balance 3 years is pending, and if a company is unable to pay, they can make it 5 years, 7 years. They can give a moratorium up to a maximum of 2 years. They can give interest moratorium. After the 2 years, they can fund the interest moratorium and convert it into another term loan. I'm telling you about the extreme level of concessions. Okay, convert the excess DP into term loan and retain the excess limit as the limit itself, so that you can properly grow the business. They can take haircut in exceptional cases. That is, you can reduce your liability by 5%, 10% on the overdoing and whatever. It is difficult. I mean, they are going to straight away write off in the books, and they are not going to easily agree. But if it is an otherwise compelling proposition, otherwise it is going to go down the line if the collateral is not there. By taking 10%, if they are going to save 90% of their exposure, then the banks may be willing to look at it. But it all depends on case to case. And then convert it to equity or mezzanine forms like optionally convertible debentures, optionally convertible preference shares, and this kind of an investment also can be sought after. But they are all very big companies. Generally, they push for it, and at times they get it too. In this case, there is a problem. The moment you convert something to equity in the books of the bank, that particular equity or a mezzanine paper has to be valued at 1 rupee. It may be even 100 crores, but still you will have to value at 1 rupee and take the write-off of balance the entire 100 crores. So the banks are very reluctant to do it. Alternatively, in both the prudential norm and the current norm and prudential norm have got only two differences. The applicable company is the difference. Current norm also talks of only prudential restructuring norms of 2019. And it has a list of things that has to be followed and stuff like that. There are a few things. If there are multiple bankers involved, then within 1 month, in the present one, then there is a requirement where there is something called ICA, Inter-Creditor Agreement. All the creditors have to agree. Creditors as in bank creditors and NBFCs. They have to agree that they are looking at restructuring. And then the restructuring may fail. They may not agree to what you are saying, but they have to agree to look at the restructuring, and that is called a inter-creditor agreement. That agreement has to be passed by various creditors, and the total number of creditors should be at least 2/3 of the total. Suppose you have total of 10 banks and NBFCs put together, 6 of them have to agree to it. And the total amount agreed will have to be 75%. If it doesn't happen, then restructuring doesn't pass through. So we have to meet with all the bankers and then explain. Previously, it was open-ended. In prudential norms of 2019, it was open-ended. If they don't really take up the agreement, there was no penalty involved. In the present norm, within 30 days, if they don't sign the agreement, they will have to pay 10% of the, they will have to provide 10% in the books of accounts, followed by another 10%. So if there is a merit in your application, they are going to very seriously look at it this time. So this is where the major advantage lies. So we can ask for any concession so long as we deserve it. How to make it deserve? It's quite easy. I mean, all it takes is introspection and detailed discussion with a professional. They should be able to guide you to do this. We have started a new website, like I said, DocScot. In this, there is a subdomain called cma.docscot.com. It does the restructuring. You have to give the past 3 years data and ask a few questions and give your present loan levels and present depreciation statement. Even the provisional, if you don't have the for the current year depreciation statement, you don't have, it's okay. Once you give the past 3 years, 19-20, 18-19 and 17-18 balance sheets, it will project restructuring based on your loans. Give you a projection and a project for 12 years, and you can modify the projection the way you want. So we have come out with it. You can give it a try. I think, in about a couple of days, it will be fully functional. At the moment, we started all this after the announcement of RBI on 6th of August. We are not even a month and we have come this far. So there is a guide here, okay? So how to do the master data entry, where you will be asked questions like, creditor days, debtor days and stuff like that. Your loan details, profit and loss account entries, balance sheet entries, fixed assets. For everything you have help here. And there will be a web form. Web form is quite intuitive in the sense that, you have it goes by the schedule 3 now, earlier schedule 6 template. And all you have to do is to keep the balance sheet in your hand and then keep entering data. In about an hour's time, your preliminary projection is ready. Based on that projection, you can, once you enter and then say generate, what you will get is an Excel sheet. Okay. So you will get an Excel sheet. Let me just quickly show you the Excel sheet. So it has a lot of sheets, various calculations, workings, multiple loan repayments and restructuring of working capital, term loan, new term loan, loan summary, etc., tax, and then CMA in all forms. Everything is ready. Sensitivity analysis, key financials, cash flow. Everything is ready. It is a very complicated sheet, macro-driven sheet. That's what you will get once you feed the data. But you can do the control only with these 3 sheets: assumptions loan, and assumptions P&L. We show the percentages that we use to arrive at it. Once you open it, these are all collapsible. Generally comes this way. You can open it. Starting with that, we have provided for negative cash. Okay. We arrive at a free cash flow and then provide you with the free cash flow balance, whatever is the negative here. Then you can really start looking at how to change it. And there are various assumptions, and how the sheet is done is all here. You can play with it. Maybe log in by Friday and it is completely, website will be ready. You can find out and then see for yourself the output yourself. If you like it, you can download it. Goes without saying, downloading has a price.
Can I speak?
Yes. Go ahead, Mr.
Hi, Srikanth. It was a nice presentation.
Yeah.
I have one question. Now, this restructuring, from whatever you could, I could understand from the explanation, is applicable for companies whose actual net receivables are much lesser than what has been forecasted, right? Which means technically they are insolvent.
No, not necessarily. No, I guess, see, the present norm is applicable only for standard companies. Okay.
Which is SMA 0, 1 and 2.
Which is SMA 0 only, not even
0. Okay.
as on 1st of March. After that, your position would have been bad due to COVID or whatever reason. See, the problem with most of the MSME is the cash flow has been managed on a day-to-day basis, and firefighting was happening to service the term loan repayments and stuff like that, and then start raising additional loans to repay this loan, and that kind of a cycle. That cycle got busted with COVID. That's why moratorium was given, and the moratorium ended yesterday.
Correct.
There is no extension of moratorium. So,
and does this apply only for term loans, or it also applies for working capital overdraft limits?
It is applicable for all loans.
Oh, great.
Okay, even devolved LC and stuff like that.
Okay, great.
All you have to have is a functional company where you can demonstrate future cash flows very clearly, and your skin should be demonstrated in the game. It is not a free meal. These are just the two conditions.
Okay, sure.
So
thank you.
Rest of the ammunition is available.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Jayachandran here.
Right. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So you had in your slide you had mentioned that there was a provision where even equity could be introduced.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little more on that?
Okay. Okay. So in the presentation that you will receive, I have given you a list of resources also. In that Atmanirbhar Bharat presentations of finance minister is also included there. You can, she has talked about something called fund of fund equity investment for MSME to the tune of 50,000 crores. Okay. So how it operates is it operates via SIDBI VCF. SIDBI has three different lines. One is direct finance and refinance. That is that SIDBI.com. And then you have that SIDBI Ventures. SIDBI raises funds and then they invest directly into the company. And then they operate fund of funds under the banner SIDBIVCF.in, SIDBI Venture Capital Fund. What they do is they get the money from the government and give it to other alternate investment funds as in private equities and venture capitals. 53 venture capital funds have already got registered with SIDBI as on date. Okay, the idea is government will put 1 rupee, 2 rupees will have to be put by the alternate investment fund, and together they will invest in a company. Okay, if you have a viable proposition and if you have a scaling option, if you can demonstrate scalability, I think there is equity can be raised and can be raised quite quickly and easily.
And exit for them for the AIF, how will they exit out of that equity investment?
So that is why I said scalability. So the presentation was talking about the SME exchange exit.
Okay.
Okay, can we buy back? It depends on how we are going to structure the documentation.
Fine.
We have to say what we can do and we have to do what we have said. Once we do that, I think things will be a lot easier.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.